All right, welcome back to another great conversation. It's DJ Ferg here on Mob City TV. We have a very special guest today. My girl Bambie is
Hey.
here. She's gracing us today. I know you guys have seen her on Studio 10, her Women's Expo, Nspire U on air, hosting, all of the things. All of the
And
things.
it's our expo.
Our
Because you in that
expo,
thing too.
yes, I'm working on it. Our expo, and it was amazing this year. Thank you for everybody who participated. They came out.
It
It
was
was great.
great.
It was great. I saw
It was
someone
great.
like a few days later. We had a whole 30-minute discussion about how great it
Oh, I
was.
love it. I
Yes,
love
it
it.
was truly,
Awesome.
truly amazing. Let you introduce yourself to the people.
Well, you did a great, fantastic job. But hey everybody, it's your girl Bambie, the Down South Diva. As you all know, Nspire U and Nspire U on air is owned by myself and my mother, the awesome Queen Candace Houston. Hey
Mama
girl.
Candace.
It was her vision, and her vision became our mission, and we are here now to inform, entertain, and inspire. We have a marketing firm, we have a networking firm, we have event planning, we also have a radio station, website, we do consultations, hosting, production, videography, photography.
You name it.
Yeah,
A
that's what
full
it is.
media company, like full
Yeah,
media company,
yeah,
and owned by two beautiful black women, mother and daughter. I think that's a beautiful combo.
yeah. I am so grateful
Yeah.
for my mother. A lot of people, they don't know our story. They don't know, you know what I mean, what we both went through to get to where we are. And so just to be that little girl that
Yeah.
now looks at my mom like, girl, you did it.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother dimension of
Right.
the feels. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But she's my girl. Growing up, it was a little rough because my mom did not play the radio or the
Okay.
TV or whatever other electronic. My mama did not play, and she
Yeah.
still doesn't.
Right.
But I respect it now.
Yeah.
Growing up, I felt like she was very strict. So it's not that we didn't get along. We just may not have been each other's favorite person when I was younger.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes because your mom wants to protect you.
Right.
And growing up, we don't like you said, we don't
don't see
understand at the
it.
time. It's like, you being so serious, like nothing's
Yes.
gonna happen to me. And then you get older, you're like, oh, my life was in danger.
It's so many things that I still to this day, I will call her like, Mom. I remember one time we had this conversation and I said this and you said that and you said, I apologize because you were so right. Like,
Yeah.
there are things that my mom literally stated word for word. And it's accurate as to today.
Yes.
Didn't see it now, but I appreciate the mother that she was. She was very matter of fact, very direct, very selfless. Like
Yeah.
everything that the world now sees is
Yeah.
who she is.
Yeah.
And so for me to be able to now be her business partner,
Yeah.
it's just like, okay, God, I see you.
Right.
That's the ultimate piece of
Right.
it. But it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I'm grateful.
God works it out because you also, I would think that you can trust her because you know her. This is your mother. She's very credible. Like you said, she's matter of fact. You know she don't play. So what other business partner
Girl, and when
would
I
you
tell
want to
you
have?
she will, is honest.
Yes, to the T.
Okay, thank you for your feedback. Like I
Right.
find myself saying that, but it's so needed. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a blessing. It really
It
is.
is. It
Yeah.
is. I love that. I love working with y'all and being around you guys together. And y'all, even though you are mother and daughter, y'all are still very professional when you are working together. Like, it's still like, yes, this is my mom, but we're business partners. Like, we're handling business right now. We're doing business right now. And y'all never excuse one or the other. It's always like, no, we're going to get this right. We're going to do this right because we take the, because y'all could be like, this is my daughter. This is my mom. We can do what we want. But y'all have never, y'all are very professional.
Yeah,
Like,
because,
very.
and I think that that's what sets us apart. People do have where they'll say, "Oh, I heard you got your little business," and I do know how people will kind of try to box things in because they're familiar with the person that's doing it.
Yeah.
But in reality, like, it's a legitimately ran business.
Yes.
Like, we have a CEO, we have a COO,
Right.
we have a CFO. Like, we have people in position, and it's like, hey, if this doesn't work, you got to talk to HR.
Yeah.
Hey, you have to go to the production department.
Right.
You have to speak. And I think that that's why it's so easy for us because we have the background of those compartmentalized things to run it like an actual. We are not a corporation at all, but we know you have to almost process corporately to stay organized and on
Right.
track.
The structure.
So, right. So the structure is corporate. It's definitely departments, things of that nature. But the atmosphere, the ambiance, and you being with us, you know
Yes.
what I mean? You are a part of Nspire U as well. It's kind of like, as long as you come and be you and do what you admitted and committed to doing,
Yes.
we good. So
Right.
it's not a micromanaging. We don't have that piece of it, but we definitely have structure and organization. And so that's why she and I work so well together, because we know going in, this is the plan. It's not
Yeah.
kind of like you said, like, well, this is my mom, I can do it. I ain't
Yeah.
got to talk to her. No, any conversation I have, no matter how big or small, okay, that's a great idea. Do me a favor. Give me a second to speak with my partner, and we'll get back to you. We may know the answer right then, but just it's a matter of respect first at the
Absolutely.
beginning. So
Absolutely.
respecting it, putting it in order, everything else will flow.
We love. Look, write that down, guys. Write that down.
It's so simple.
It's so simple, but the most simple things are the most important, especially in business.
They're the most important, but a lot of people make them hard.
Yes.
People make simple things difficult. Like, yo, if you sign a contract, just abide by it. If you no longer want to abide by it, just say, I no longer want to abide by it. If you don't feel comfortable with this, say you don't feel comfortable with this. If you don't agree with this, say you don't. So it's that side of being real, being honest, and not making it complicated.
Yeah. And we complicate things naturally as humans. And also, for myself being a part of Nspire U, I had to adapt to the way that y'all do things. Because it's very structured, but it's also very comfortable at the same time. Like, you can tell me that you're going to be late. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can communicate that to me. But we're so used to the corporate America where everything is like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get in trouble. You know, like you're panicking, you're stressing out, and it's just like, you know, it's really a different atmosphere, and it's a great thing. We're just not used. Some people aren't used to that. You know, like you don't get that when you're employed by somebody. Like most people treat their employees like you're employed by me. You need to do what I said when I said do it, and that's the bottom line. And people aren't used to being able to approach the person they're employed by and say, hey, you know what, actually this is a really rough week for me, can I have another week to, you know what I'm saying? So we're complicated because we're not used to it. I had to adjust to it myself, and I'm like, man, let me get it together. There's some nice people here, man. Let me, you know, and it really makes you want to do your best though.
Yeah, and I appreciate you even touching on that, because truth be told, people make things complicated, and that's why they're hard. So Mom and I both having a background of communications. Well, she has TV and radio. I have majority radio, some TV, a lot of promotions. So with that, we know the good and the bad. We know the way we've been managed, the good ways and the bad ways. We know what we've experienced because of our race, because of our gender, because of us having natural hair, because of whatever the case may be. We know how it has felt to be left out, overlooked, mistreated, abused, disrespected, forgotten.
Yeah.
We know what that feels like. And so when we began seeing that God had allowed us an opportunity to hire employees, we knew, like, we don't want anybody to ever feel what we felt.
Yeah.
So when people lose people in their family, especially close family members, we don't give you a bereavement day. Nothing against, I mean, I appreciate corporate America even addressing it and acknowledging it. But there's no way you can really determine how much time a person needs. So what you do is you give them the space to decide what will work for them. Because what you may currently be doing with us may be too much at the time for you to complete it based off of what you agree with us. But if you take the time off to gather yourself, it'll give you the time to get your mind, your body, your soul back in place so that you can deliver to your best ability. See, that's what Nspire U is about. Putting you in an opportunity to become your best self. So everybody's going to have an opportunity to do something, right? And if doing something, you have a certain time you have to be there. So if you're going to be late, that happens. Cool, no problem. But if you're going to be late, let me know. Like, I'd rather know so that I can jump on whatever it is, especially if it's something that's client addressed, or, you know, we're in the industry of being on a stage. Yeah. So you late, that's a whole issue.
Right. Time
for so many
matters.
reasons.
Yes.
So knowing that, we can get ahead of that. But it's some people, like you said, they already go into panic mode. So by the time they make it to you, they're on 1,000. And so now you have to come back with the 1,000. And then you have to also understand, like, they got a lot going on. But hold on a second, because you got a lot that you're throwing at me. So hold on. So that's the other side of it. We, Mom and I know that the heart and the intentions that we have for people are pure. So when people don't react in the ways that we expect, we don't take it personal because we know where they are right now, they're going through something.
Yeah.
So we're not going to take that personal. So the other side of not only us allowing you an atmosphere to be your best self, we also analyze a circumstance from a professional standpoint at all times. We don't make them personal.
Yes.
Because when you mix that, that's when you complicate
That's
things.
when
And
your feelings
again,
get hurt,
people
yeah.
make it hard. You know what I mean? And so I appreciate you taking accountability and addressing it. And at the same time, it was never anything negative. It was just like, oh, okay, yeah. And we just kept riding. And
Yeah.
so the other side of that is forgiveness.
Yes. Yeah.
That honestly, remaining professional, having an open forum of comfort for people,
Yeah.
and also just respecting for what it is, telling the truth, keeping it real, and forgiving.
Yeah. That's
That's why we're
able.
able to do what we do.
Yeah.
Because it when you carry all of that, it's very hard to operate to your best magnitude.
Absolutely. That's heavy.
That's what this is for. Nspire U exists to inspire you.
Yeah.
I lost one of my very best friends. Very best friends. And my heart aches for anybody that loses anybody. So this is not to discount that, but it's some people that you lose that takes a piece of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what that was. And God allowed me an opportunity to be in an element where I could take the time I needed
Yes.
to heal or get, not necessarily heal, but get to a space of healing.
Yes.
To where I could still operate to be able to deliver for the people who are looking at me or who I may touch. Because that's the other thing. Whatever your calling is and God has you in, you want to operate to that in your best magnitude.
Absolutely.
So I know that if I was in a different circumstance, a different corporation that I worked for before, I would have been broken at work. I would have been upset at work. I would have been mad at work. I would have been emotional at work. And then I'm that person that's blowing up at work and people don't understand. So now they think I'm this deranged, crazy black woman. All because I didn't have that time to heal. That is what that's what's wrong with the world. They're not given a chance to heal.
Yeah.
And you heal every day. That's
Every
the thing.
day. It's day to day.
Nobody is completely healed. So if today is a good day for me, and everything's all good, and 9 months later I have a bad day, why do people hold that bad day on people?
Right.
It was just a bad day.
Just one.
But the other 364 days
Right.
were great.
Yeah.
So Inspire You is just a place of healing. That's the best way to put it. And I'm going to be honest, I've never said that before, but that's exactly.
Hey, God put it on your heart.
That is pretty much ultimately. So to tie back into what you were saying about people they just don't know. For those of you that are with us that do know, we appreciate y'all because it's not easy trusting somebody's vision,
Yeah.
riding with them through it all. The people that are connected to Inspire You, they make my heart just burst because people don't have to support. People don't have to love you. People don't have to be there. Nobody, and I had a hard time learning this or understanding this. Nobody owes you anything. When I was younger, I'm like, yes, they do, because I did this for her and I did this for him, and nobody owes you anything. But you owe whatever your gift, your message, whatever, to whomever.
Yes.
That's what you owe, right? But nobody owes you. So for every staff member, every volunteer, every supporter, every ticket purchaser, every post sharer, anything that's connected to Inspire You to make it that much greater, we're so grateful.
Yes.
Because without all of that, Inspire You could not grow. If y'all didn't drive through the drive-through and get those double cheeseburgers from McDonald's, they wouldn't be able to do it.
Right.
So it's really all about who's connected to the vision.
Yes.
That's really owed the accolades. Because it won't keep
takes
going.
community.
Yeah.
It takes teamwork and community. And I'm glad you said that because a lot of the times, especially in the industry that we in, it's so easy to get tripped up in your ego. You know what I mean? And I had to learn that too because I'm this person and I don't have to do this. I don't have to say this. I don't have to go there. I don't have to deal with that. It's just like, no, God be like, you're going to do what I told you to do. It doesn't matter what you think or how you feel. Like, I need you here. I need you to do this. I need you to love these people. I don't care what they say to you. I want
I
you.
don't care what they did to you.
It doesn't matter.
This
I
is
got
what
that.
you're doing.
And once you learn that, like, that's what God requires from you, it's easy to take stuff in, because sometimes God will put you somewhere just to be that person to show somebody compassion in a time when they just go off on you, and you just like, okay, well, it sounds like you're having a bad day, and then they be like, dang, she was so nice, and that changes their whole projection for the day or their perspective on life in general. But sometimes it's hard to do that when you're in your ego. And then this music industry, this entertainment industry, people try, especially being women, and you're a black woman, they try
It's a
it.
lot.
They push it,
It's a lot.
You have to exercise a lot of grace in this industry. But I'm grateful to, grow to a point of understanding that. Like, that's what it is. And it's not personal. People are people. Everybody has their own little world going on. We don't know what's going on. We just saw them on this good Saturday. We don't know what happened the day. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So you really have to have a lot of grace. And I wanted to ask, well, you kind of already explained it. Just how do you deal with us, like, as an employee? Because I don't know. That seems like a lot.
So what we're not gonna do is say it's not a lot. It's a lot, but it's a lot, but it's in a way of. Have you ever heard anybody say, like, when I love what I do, it's not a job?
Yes.
So it's like we love what we do. So it while it's a lot, it's not a problem. It's just a part of what we're doing, and to make it happen. And to dive back into how to deal with you all, I want to go back to something that you said. You said something along the lines of, we go back and we're like, God, why is this the person you're assigning me to? Why are you doing this? And then God is like, nah, you trying to do it your way, but this is the way I'm going to do it.
Absolutely.
I want to dive into that little piece right there, because we just said earlier, people make it hard. So God has already made it easy for you to do whatever it is. It's when you make it hard, it takes you longer to get to wherever he's trying to take you.
Absolutely.
So tying that into your question about how do we deal with you all? Well, this is the thing. If an employee has an issue, we can either say, well, this is the Nspire U way, and this is what we do, and you signed this contract, so it is what it is, which is what happens 99% of the time, unfortunately. Or we say, well, talk to me about why you feel that way. Let's talk about it. And we get to a place of understanding. See, we know that you may not agree with everything, but if we can get to a place of understanding, then we're in a good space.
Right.
Because I don't agree with some of the rules and regulations and some things, but it's not to the magnitude of me to feel ill will towards it or have an issue with it. That's the understanding that we get. You know what I mean? So in dealing with you all, honestly, we don't have issues with you all either, though.
Yeah.
It's normalcy with life. We may say, hey, where's this? Or checking in because of that. Or, hey, can you do this? Or, hey, I thought little, small, minor things. But God has blessed us with such a phenomenal team to where those that are meant in their purpose and they are really, truly connected to what they're doing, it's streamlined because it falls into place for what works for them. We have an understanding with our agreement, and we both stay on course, and we respect one another.
Yeah.
And for those who does not necessarily fit, it doesn't work out in any of those facets. And so it kind of creates its own entity, if you will, to remove whatever it is, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like God puts in place what needs to happen.
Yeah.
And if there is an issue, we have staff that, and I don't even want to call them staff. Y'all are family members. We have family that's like, hey, I need to, I've had some of y'all to put on me before, like, hey, I need to holler at you right quick.
Yeah.
And I respect it. Let's talk about it. And then even from that, what I think I appreciate the most is that it creates an even better bond after that. Because when I was in corporate America, nobody ever asked me how I felt or what I thought or considered what they did. Because again, people are human. So that might have been a bad day for Bambie. But let's talk about it, because Bambie means no ill will towards you. So she would never intentionally be whatever way. But because you brought it to her attention, because remember, it's kind of a lot going on over here anyway. So give people grace, like you said, because they may have a million things going on over here, has nothing to do with you. And that's where we get lost in our own overthinking.
Yes.
When you really can just address it and say, hey, I ain't like this, and let me tell you why.
Yeah.
You can get to such a healthier space.
Yes.
And so that's how our family with Nspire U respects us. Hey, I don't like this. Hey, Bambie, I want to meet with Miss Candace because I would like to cover some things with her. And we respect that. Because when we took the assignment that we were given, we knew that these kind of things came with it.
Yes.
We could have made it hard and been like, well, you either going to do this or you can go. What's up?
Yeah.
Because that's how a lot of people operate.
Yeah.
Or we say, okay, let's figure this out together. We've changed rules multiple times. We've changed protocol multiple times because everything is not conducive to everybody.
Right.
And that's
real.
okay. But it starts with a conversation. So we're able to deal with you all and have a great relationship with you all because we communicate.
Yeah. Communication is, even aside from employee and employer standpoint, just in relationships in general, communication is so important because you never want to assume anything, and that's why you give a person an opportunity to say, hey, what did you mean by that? Or when you did this, I felt this way. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, that's not, you know what I'm saying? And then once you get to have that breakdown and that understanding of each other, that makes, like you said, the relationship stronger because people don't realize that's how you build relationships with your parents. Like when you get into it with them, y'all have to come up together and be like, Mom, I'm sorry. Or you know what, Carl, I'm sorry. That wasn't right. Or I should have been there. That makes, that builds trust.
Yep.
And I trust you. Like, I know we had that one little thing, but we worked past that. So I know that if something else came up, I can trust that she doesn't have ill will. It might have been a bad day. We can talk about it. It opens that door. You know what I'm saying? And that's just not, people aren't used to that. You know what I'm saying? And it's just even like growing up as a kid, do what I said. Don't question me. Like, you know what I'm saying? So we really grow up like not being used to communicating.
Yes.
And it's hard.
It's very hard. And when you are connected in multiple facets of not only did you have a childhood where you couldn't speak, you were disrespectful, just period. You couldn't say anything. On top of you may have seen abuse or you may have seen substance abuse or you may have seen just mistreatment. But there's so many things that kids are exposed to. Because what you see, that is like a TV that just automatically programs in your brain.
Yeah.
And that's what you see. What you see is like your mental TV. So as a child, when you don't understand things, if no one explains, you create your own narrative.
Yes.
So it makes sense for this girl who is 19 years old, who is on her third baby daddy, to still be with the first one here and there because he's abusive, because that's what she saw. And a lot of people miss that. So the misunderstanding of people, I think, is a lot of why a lot of things goes bad. Billie Eilish, she said something very profound. She said, I ruined a lot of things that could have been amazing because I was sad. Aww. And so when you dive into that, people don't ruin things intentionally.
Yeah.
They ruin them because they're hurting.
Yes.
Or they're confused. Or they're sad. Or they just don't know. So that childhood trauma definitely carries into adult. And people aren't given the right amount of grace to heal. Now, you have some people who are just like, look, you just aren't, you not even trying. Yeah. We get that. But for those people who are trying every day to not lose one more piece of puzzle, or they're going to shatter, you don't know how just being polite can save somebody's life. You don't know how just saying, hold up, whoa, I've never seen you act like this before. Let's talk about this. Right. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. That hurt my feelings. And I don't like that. Let's talk about it. Like, it's all about how you address whatever it is. People are human.
Absolutely.
They're going to make human choices. Nobody's a robot. And even with robots, they default.
They absolutely.
People put too much weight on perfection. But they don't realize that they're not perfect. And that lack of communication, trying to bury that around with perfection, that's a horrible concoction.
Horrible. Horrible, because you're expecting something from me that I can't do. And I can't tell you I can't do it because you just expect me to be perfect, bottom line. And grace is like, I might name this episode Grace because it's just so necessary in so many ways. We owe ourselves grace. Like, it's not your fault that you saw that. It's not your fault that you went through that. It's not you didn't know better. You know what I'm saying?
It's not your fault.
It's not. Sometimes it's just not your fault. And we become adults. We saw this happen. We saw that happen as a child. We weren't heard. I'm grown now. You gonna hear what I gotta say? And it's just like, no, you actually don't have to be that way. Like, once you sit back go to therapy. Like, get it out. Talk about it.
Therapy. To everybody that can hear the sound of my voice, Amberly Bambie Harris, suggest therapy if you just don't know how to do it. Definitely started with God, but seriously, therapy, baby. Therapy.
God and therapy is a great combination. It helps you work through, because this is my, you two don't grill me for this, but this is just my perception on it. Like, when you get closer to God, you build your spiritual self, your wisdom, you start to understand and see things differently. But when you go to therapy, depending on what type of therapist you're going to, if it's just a textbook therapist or counselor, they're experts on human mind, which is different from your spiritual mind.
Right.
So for me, it helps me understand the flesh. Like, this is how people are operating. You know what I'm saying? But when I go to my spiritual side, I'm getting closer to God. I understand how to deal with you because I know where you're working from. You get what I'm saying? I was there. But my counselor, she gonna help me understand you a little more, and how can I approach you. But the Bible's gonna tell me, I already know you give you grace. I know to be kind. I know to be patient. I know all these things. But I also need to understand, why are you thinking this way? Why are you moving this way? So when you have a worldly understanding and a spiritual understanding, it really changes your perspective on people. Like, dealing with people, communicating with people, even yourself. Like, let me tone it down. This is not graceful. I'm not being a peacemaker right now.
This is not the mirror.
No, this is not cutesy, okay? Like, it will really make you look at yourself, and then growing spiritually, you look at people like, okay, they're just not here yet. Or they still working on that, or they don't know God yet the way I, you know what I'm saying? And it really just, it's a game changer.
It is.
It's a game
it's so
changer.
beautiful that you said that, because that's the part that people don't realize. They feel like a therapist is supposed to fix them. Or they feel like, God, I have all the faith in you. You're supposed to fix me. The part they miss is the work they're supposed to do.
Yes.
And that work starts with expanding out. How many different directions can I get help to become a better me?
Absolutely.
It used to bother me when people told me their honest opinion about something I did. It bothered me, because it's like, why would you think that and I love you? Why would you think that and I never harm you? I don't look at it from the eyes of, just because I love you doesn't mean I don't do things you dislike. I wasn't looking at it that way. I look at it like, I show you. So how dare you say I'm this kind of person or that kind of person, or I cause this. When I stopped looking at it that way, and I started, and from therapy, it was taught, like, look at it from another perspective. I always knew that, but it's like, no, truly, step back. The day this happened with this person, what did you do to lead up to that? Now, if you did nothing, okay, cool. But even if you have to go 6 months back, 12 months back, 3 years back, 10 years back, what happened to get you where you are now? Did you play any part in it? Because the first thing you got to do is deal with your role in it before you can even address their role.
Right.
So a lot of people that I'm not necessarily cool with now, that it may have happened 10, 15, 20 years ago, when I stepped back and began analyzing, okay, I could have handled that better. Okay, I could have said that differently. That's what made me realize, although my heart was in a place of love, my actions didn't project that.
Yeah.
That's what a part of grace is.
Yeah.
When you know somebody's actions don't portray the love you know you have for them. So what started transitioning me was wanting to always exude what I want from other people. And I want them to really, truly understand. And the people that I'm really close to, they're like, yo, I know Bambi love me. And I'm not saying that from a place of, like, boastfulness. I'm saying that from a place of, like, because we actually say it to each other.
Yes.
Like, me and you will even say, okay, boo, I love you.
Yeah.
Like, it that manifests. And I don't think people realize that. So when I changed my heart.
Yeah.
And I allowed God to lead the person that I was destined to be. My life changed.
Yes.
My perception changed. My perspectives changed. My opportunities changed. Everything changed. And a lot of people, they don't know how to accept change in people. So the other issue is when you change, people don't know how to accept that either. And so they don't communicate. They don't forgive you. And then they don't accept you.
Yeah.
So now you stuck in a place of, like, what happened? You're the confused one. And it's all because this person didn't simply say, I didn't like when this happened. I don't like this. Or it could be something as simple as, well, you said this like 2 years ago. But then you said this the other day and that don't match.
Yeah.
it could be as small and petty. And that's what people also have to give grace for. It may be small to you. You probably have had some things people have said to you like, that's what you're mad at? That's what you're thinking. But it's not your place to determine how what you did affected somebody else.
Yeah.
So if I'm irate and you don't understand it, it's not for you to understand from a perspective of I want you to feel how I feel, but give me the grace to know that like, yo, this must really be important.
Right.
People have to do that.
Yeah.
They have to. So grace is a great title for this episode.
Absolutely. Because look, I'm about to talk about grace again. Grace, knowing that, and I couldn't have made it this far of understanding without the wisdom of God, honestly. Because trying to understand it on our own, our knowledge is so limited. You know what I'm saying? And we can only go based on what we know, what we experience, because that's what the flesh is. It's going to go, what this feels good to me. I'm used to this, so I'm going to do this. But when you lock in with God, it's like, okay, first of all, God going to get you. That's the first thing. Secondly, grace, like, well, maybe that's what they think love is. Or maybe that's how they think they display love. They think they can talk to you any kind of way, but because they said they love you, they feel like that's enough. You know what I mean? And that's not a shot at them. That's just what they're, that's their MO. Like, that's what they do. And it's like, okay, I'm still going to love you because you're still a child of God. You just need to grow a little bit. You got some learning to do. You don't understand me. I don't understand you. It's not for me to understand. I'm just going to do, what I'm supposed to do in this area. And that, you know what I'm saying? That's it. And that's also how you don't hold on to it. And just understanding, like, I had to get here. You're going to have to get here too. Like, you may, even a person who's grown past you spiritually, you still have grace for them because you can slip up. You can get mad. You can say a cussing word. You know what I'm saying? You can have it. It happens. And that's why God gives us grace again. Like, I know you're human. Like, you're born a sinner. Like, I know you're going to mess up. And when you're able to realize God loves me this much, who am I not to love somebody else like that? Who am I not to forgive somebody else?
The same way I mentioned, go back and think back of things you may have said or done to people that you regret, which, by the way, Big Sean said, regret is a representation of not forgiving yourself, which ties back to forgiveness. But we all know of things we've said or done, but God has forgiven us. Even when we didn't even know him, when we're 11, 12, 13, when we don't really necessarily know the gospel.
Yes.
But even then, he was forgiving us.
Yeah.
And so to be in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, your 70s, and you're still waking up every day. You're still getting blessed infinitely. You are still a walking vessel. You are still a monument of creation by God. Like, all of these things. And you mad at somebody about something they have in middle school still?
Seriously.
I don't get it. That is a lot of weight to carry.
Yeah. And that's a long time to carry because what it's building. They made me mad. They made me mad. They made me mad. Now you got 100 people that done made you mad. And they done went on with their life. And you're still mad. You're still carrying it. And they married, got kids, don't started their business. And you're still mad at them. You're still rolling your eyes when you see them. And they can't even remember what they did to you.
Nope. You know how sometimes, and I'll be honest, because I'm still on my journey, but I have seen people who have done me wrong in the past, and they'll see me somewhere now, and they're like, hey, girl, how you doing? In my mind, I'm like, you for real?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like, it doesn't even matter whether or not they remember what they did. It happened. Life goes on. It doesn't make or break what God has ordained for me. So, hey, girl.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it turns into one of those things where it's like, what are you willing to keep carrying? Because God doesn't carry. He doesn't roll over. He doesn't do strikes and, know, last month you ain't do nothing, but this month you double did it. So you're like, that's not how that works. He doesn't keep tally.
Yes.
And those who decide to not follow that pretense, they have a different destiny.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like a relationship. It's like, you don't keep score in a relationship, but it's like, okay, we either gonna agree to do these things in this way and walk this direction to get to where we're going, or if we gonna go different directions, we can't never end up together.
Yeah.
So what we doing? It's like a relationship with God. It's like a relationship with your spouse, a relationship with your family, relationship with your friends. You got to be on one accord. So if you're on one accord with God, let him do his thing. Everything else gonna fall into place.
Literally.
It's not gonna matter when that girl that knows she was dead wrong in the 6th grade, in the lunch line, when she did what she did.
Right.
It's not gonna matter now. It's cool. And that's a sign of growth that people don't give themselves credit for.
Yeah.
Like when stuff doesn't bother you anymore, that's a good thing.
Man, that's a blessing. That's because you subconsciously, you don't even realize you're thinking about it or that it's still holding on to you until you see that person. Be like, oh, that's that girl that embarrassed me. Hey girl, you got some kids now. You have a good day. And then you realize like, oh, I should have been mad at her. But when you realize, I tell people all the time, if God know everything that we've done, the things people don't know, that our deep, dirtiest, darkest secret, God knows.
Talking about to the grave.
Man, listen. And he forgave you for them.
Yeah.
So who would I be? You know what I mean? If God forgave me for all that,
yeah,
girl, you good. You know what I'm saying?
The thing is, I forgive you. Now, there's levels to this. So it's not like I forgive you and we back click tight, let's do it, let's ride, Clyde. Hold on. It depends on the level of what happened as well. Because as Christians, you definitely want to love your neighbor.
Absolutely.
But as a saint with sense, don't let nobody play with your top more than once. So it gets to one of those circumstances to where it's like, yo, I forgive you. But it was so extreme to where I don't want to put myself in a predicament for it to happen again.
And that's discernment. Because I can forgive you, but I don't have to sit with you again. I can help you. I can love you. God says, love thy neighbor. That don't mean you got to get in my bed. That doesn't mean you have to come to my house. That I can love you from over here.
Right.
I can help you from over here. I can be patient and kind to you from over here. I ain't no fool. I forgive you now.
We good.
But I ain't crazy.
Yes.
It's necessary. Ooh, that just feels good to say. A lot of people don't understand because when people think of Christianity and think about building a relationship with God, they think it's so strict and it's so painful and it's so, I can't do nothing. I can't enjoy myself. And it's like, it's not. It's actually really nice over here.
Christianity is what we just talked about earlier. Like, how is it that y'all are able to keep Nspire U structured? Because Christianity is structured. And it's structured from a place of pureness.
Yes.
So if you have an issue with structure, then you're going to have an issue with following in Christianity, which it's almost like when you are a Christian, it's like a spiritual contract.
Yeah.
Just like when you get a job. So if you sign this contract with your job and you don't do the requirements that are met, you are no longer the fit for that job. That's what Christianity is. Christianity is not judgmental.
Yeah.
People have made it judgmental.
Yes.
Christianity is not boring. People have made it boring.
Yes.
It is not difficult. It is Christianity is the will of God. And if you are someone who follows that, you'll know that there are so many successful actors and actresses. They drop every cuss word in the book. The most esteemed Christians. So that's where the parallel gets disconnected. It's like if your ministry is a certain thing and you're supposed to touch a certain audience, then you're going to have a certain type of characteristic that a old school Christian may have an issue with.
Right.
And I think that's unfair because whether or not Carla is a Christian, all I can do is pray for her in hopes that she is, but I can't carry whether or not you are. So the decisions you make, it's not fair for me to judge the decisions you make because what you choose to do has nothing to do with me.
Right.
So if you personally yourself feel Christianity is boring or strict or what have you, let it be your personal opinion, but have you tried it?
Right.
Do you, like they say, have you tried him? Do you know him?
Do you know?
Do you know?
Right.
Experience it for yourself. I have one of the coolest pastors.
Me too, girl.
On the planet. When I tell you my pastor wears J's to church.
Yeah.
Tennis shoes, cap.
Yeah.
But he also wears suits. He also wears button downs. He's diverse, if you will.
Yes.
Shout out to the Lighthouse Church Gulf Coast, Pastor Eddie Powell. Hey, Lady T. Love my TLC family. But I'm saying that because I grew up in a Baptist church, right? I am a Baptist baby. I was in the choir. I was a candy striper. I tried the usher board. That didn't really work out for me, but hey, I tried it. Dibbled and dab. I did a lot. I was in plays and drama and things like that. I even then when we went over to full gospel, it was totally different from the Baptist world. There were a lot of things that were very different. You know, the Baptist church ran one way, full gospel ran another. Well, when I departed ways from that church, I really wasn't sure what to do because, in truth be told, there's a thing called church hurt that a lot of people don't like to talk about, but when you get to a place to be comfortable to talk about it, that's how you know you've arrived and God has got you there, right?
Amen. That's
So
right.
a lot of church hurt deterred me from locking into a church home. So I tried this church, try this church. Then I got to a point where I was doing church on YouTube. I type in whatever it is I was feeling. Sermons about forgiveness, sermons about hope, sermons about self-love, self-worth, whatever. And I did that for a long time, like even through which you couldn't go to church for the pandemic, but
Yeah.
like I was doing it before the pandemic, so I was doing it heavy during the pandemic. And I had gotten comfortable with that,
Yeah.
watching sermons on social media or on videos, and the it's wild. So we have a marketing firm, and a pastor starting a new church reached out to us for marketing help. And he is now our pastor. Now, let me share, it had nothing to do because the marketing actually didn't happen at the time because of where he was in his journey with the church. But we built a relationship with him, understood where he was coming from, visited his church, and I just felt comfortable.
Yeah.
And in feeling comfortable, that's very important when it comes to your spirituality.
Yeah.
And if you're uncomfortable where you're supposed to learn about God, get a better understanding, then it's going to be difficult for you to like it. So I told that whole narrative to say, before you judge anything, give it a chance, because you never know what you may walk into. Our business is what got me back into the church house. And that within itself for me is a blessing, because I don't know that had a pastor not reached out and said, hey, I'm starting a church and I need help marketing in the market, I don't know that we ever would have crossed paths, because what else, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you were going on YouTube. Yeah.
So God will position opportunities.
Absolutely.
So sometimes if you notice yourself always in an opportunity to somehow be tied to the church or God somehow, some way, in whatever way, take that opportunity to listen.
Yeah.
Even if you're not sure, even if you've been broken, even if you've had a lot to happen and you're questioning God, take that chance, because that's your opportunity to get back closer to Him.
Yes. That's beautiful. Because that's the same reason I stopped going to church, was church hurt. And I think people don't understand, the church didn't hurt you. It was a person at the church, another human, another person who is not God. So you cannot hold that against God because that person did that thing, or that such and such cheated on their wife or their husband. Like, you have to know God was not okay with that. Like, you have to understand that. But you also have to understand that's one of the enemy's tricks. I'm going to let you see this happen at church so you won't go back and you won't do what God calls you to do. Because I know it's big. Because you're a child of God. And I see you getting closer to Him. And I know what happens when people get closer to God. So I'm going to let you see this. I'm going to put this thought on their mind to deter you from them. And now you talking about the church. Everybody don't stop going. You have been in church in 10 years. I'm going to tell you what for 10 years. And it's a trick of the enemy.
A trick of the enemy.
That's literally it. Because when you go back to church, if you went to church for what it is, to learn about God, to experience God, to celebrate God, and not worry about people, you would never get church hurt if you really think about it. Because who hurt us? You get what I'm saying? It wasn't God. God didn't come in there and push you down.
He had nothing to do with it. So it's kind of like that innocent friend. How you gonna take it out on God and He ain't even do nothing? You know what I mean? Like, how you gonna cut the big dog out and He? You know what I'm saying? He doesn't condone this.
And when you get back into it and actually learn it, because for one, I tell people, you're not gonna go to church, at least read the Bible. Read that Bible.
Put it in your spirit.
Yes, because when you read it and you understand it, I love church, because I learn. Our pastor, he teaches, and that helps me understand more. So when I go home every day, every morning, I read my Bible and I pray, I have a better understanding because I'm learning. So that's why I love it. If you don't want to go to church, it's the blueprint to life, whether you want to believe it or not. And also, my ignorance was, the Bible was written during a certain time, or they put this in the Bible, they put that in the Bible. Read it for yourself. Do some research. Find out for yourself. And I've been so mad. I know I shouldn't be mad at myself, but sometimes I get mad at myself for being so ignorant for so long. And it's like, I could have been at peace this whole time.
It's funny when you say, I get mad at myself sometimes and I feel bad. I used to have that issue. I used to feel like, dang, I should have did X, Y, Z, and then I could have. But at the same time,